Question 13 comes from Hannah Johnson, LCSW. Is it the client's responsibility to make sure the client is in a private, quiet space before we start our telehealth session? And what if they are unable to find such a space? Now, we talked about this a little bit already. I think, Pam, you were talking about the need to make sure that clients have that space. But what if somebody really can't have a truly private space and they tell you that that's not a high priority for them, that they, maybe they live in a studio apartment with family members and they don't so much mind if other people are going in and out. What's your level of responsibility there in ensuring that client really has a space that's private and quiet? Pam, I'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, this does come up. It comes up a lot with younger people who have roommates, and maybe they start their session in the living room, and I say, "Are you alone? Do you have privacy?" And they say yes. And so I write down in my notes, privacy verified. And then I see their roommate walk by in his pajama bottoms or something. And it's like, that's super distracting and you don't have privacy. And so one of the things that I kind of front load is we don't know how deep we're going to go. And if there are people around, you're not going to be able to get to those places that are really sensitive because you're going to be self-conscious whether you think so or not. And I have people who go out to their garage and sit in their car so they have a little bit of space and quiet. I've had people go to a neighbor's backyard because the neighbor's not home, and I assume they told the neighbor they were doing that. But I think at some point we as clinicians are going to have to make the call. If the client says, "Oh, no, it's fine, my roommate can hear everything," we can say, "You know what, I'm not okay with that. I don't feel comfortable with that. We're going to need to reschedule to a time that you can have privacy." And we have to look out for our clients. We know how quickly things can get sensitive. Our clients don't necessarily know that. And we also know the value of that and how sometimes just pushing just a tiny bit further can get somebody a really big leap forward in progress, but they're not going to be able to do that if their roommates are walking around or their parents are walking around or their kids are walking around. So I think that we have to say, yes, it is your responsibility to find a private, quiet place. And here's why. And if they say, "Well, I don't care," we have to be the ones who care.
Okay, so let me push back on that a little bit because I see where you're coming from in terms of the benefit for the clinical relationship. But what about those clients where it's just really not a functional option? Maybe they don't have a laptop. The only computer at home is a desktop, or maybe they, for whatever reason, maybe it's an economic reason or whatever other reason, they just really can't access such a space. Are we then telling them that I'm sorry, I can't work with you because there's not adequate privacy?
No, of course not. We can get creative about timing. Is there a time that you would have privacy? Like, is there a time that everybody else is maybe out? We can say, "Do you want to do a phone session instead? Can you walk down the street?" We can say, "Okay, well, who's there? And let me chat with them. And let's set that up for, if your mom's in the room, do you want to include her? What do you want her to know? Let's talk about that." And then, but I do think that we have to monitor how much our clients are going to safely do with the people around them. And again, I mean, I don't ever want to deny a client therapy, but I do want to make sure they're safe. And if I know that they've had problems with their roommate in the past, I don't really want them talking about sensitive things with their roommate in the room or in the, in the periphery. So I think that, if it was, this is an emergency, of course, we're going to see that client. We're going to do everything we can. But we also have to say, okay, it seems like you're kind of talking in code here. What do we need to do? When people start to get into those more sensitive things, are they changing? We need to monitor what's their response in this. If they're unable to find a space, then that's probably something we need to talk about with them too. I mean, what I think about is I have a client who had to go out to actually the neighbor's car. It wasn't the neighbor's yard that time. And part of what she's dealing with is she has no privacy at all. She is never, ever alone, and it's driving her nuts because everybody is locked in the house. And so that itself would have been hard to talk about had she been in the house with everybody she's locked in.
That's a great point. I think that for some, certainly not all clients, but for some clients, those kinds of creative solutions can be really helpful, including maybe you're doing a telehealth session while somebody is sitting in their parked car, just because that can be more privacy than them being at home. Melissa, the next question I'm going to direct to you. And I'm so tempted, as somebody who does a lot of training about legal and ethical stuff, to just make this its own giant conversation, but I promise I will avoid that.